What is up, guys? It is Will Sports, and we have news. So James Harden just dropped a bomb. I'm fresh out of waking up, and I see that James Harden says publicly that he will not be playing anywhere that Daryl Morey is associated. So he will not be playing for the Sixers, basically, is what he said on his. I think he's on a tour in China right now, and it was a video's been surfacing around Twitter, and basically saying like he's not gonna play anywhere Daryl Morey is. He called him a liar, and I'm assuming what this is about is that Daryl Morey and the Sixers made Harden a promise last year. Reportedly made him a promise last year that, taking a pay cut last year to be able to fill out the rest of the roster. If he did that, they would give him the money this offseason. Let's speak in the term of like last offseason. So next offseason, we'll give you the money that you're not going to get right now because you're taking a pay cut. Harden does that because, coming into the year, I felt like Harden was serious about winning. You could just kind of tell in the way he was playing, the things he was saying. He was locked in on trying to win the championship. And the Sixers coming into the year were a team that a lot of people have faith in. They made really good signings the last year's offseason with the extra money they were able to have. I mean, they brought in PJ Tucker, DeAnthony Melton, several key guys that were huge for them all season, but obviously it wasn't enough to get over that hump and get to an NBA Finals and, end up winning a championship. But Harden made that sacrifice, and, we all credited him at that point. But now, coming around this offseason when it was time to pay up, Sixers didn't want to pay. Understandably so. But based off what they said to him, I think that is, it's bad business in the sense of like, well, it's not bad business, but it's just, it's kind of fucked up because you promise this dude that type of money. And, regardless of the circumstances, you just, unless I'm assuming he didn't say, we'll give you the money if you play good in the playoffs, or if you, like, he just said, we're going to give you the money. But, so I can see Harden's perspective, but from the Sixers' perspective and Daryl Morey's perspective, I mean, Harden had a really good regular season. Not great, really good regular season. He led the league in assists. He averaged 21 and 10. Helped Joel Embiid get an MVP. They won, I think, 54 games and finished third in the East. Had a really good year. Playoffs come, first round, not much. I missed the Nets. Of course, you're going to beat the Nets. But then you get to the second round. Harden, game one, they win because of him. He drops 45 and Embiid's out. And, he was huge. He was key to them winning. Then you have game four, another game. They're down 2-1. James Harden drops 40. Makes a game-winning shot for them to win. They win the game. And then, obviously, I think that's what he would point to is that, well, hey, I dropped 2 40-point games in a big series for us and kept the series alive. But then you got to counter that with, well, you also, had the last two games, you were pretty bad. Barely scored, was inefficient in each of the last two games of that series, the two most important games, and melted down along with Joel Embiid. And so the Sixers, you could tell, just did not want to pay him that type of money because, Harden's about to be 34 years old, and at this point, he's declining. It's clear that he's declining. He's not the same scorer that he once was. I mean, he's still really good scorer, but he's not the scorer that that he was in Houston, where he was averaging 30 plus points a game damn near every season. He's down to about 20 a night. He doesn't have the same burst. His step back is really what he's dependent on, and the way the rule changes have been implemented, he's not getting to the free throw line as much because that foul baiting stuff that he likes, he's done his whole career, isn't working as much. And so you see the Sixers just feeling like, well, hey, we can't pay you that type of money after you had another playoff meltdown. Obviously, again, he had good moments in the playoffs. No one's saying he didn't, but when it was time to really, win that series, and they needed him the most. He didn't play well, and so I think that's something that went through Daryl Morey's head, is that I can't pay. I gotta pay Maxey soon, and I already have Tobias Harris contract on the books, and we want to have some type of flexibility. Well, hey, I think that sucks for Harden because like I said. I mean, he made that sacrifice to take a pay cut last year. So I can understand him being mad, but at the same time, you had more control over it than you want to admit. And that's playing well in big playoff games. So I can see both sides. Overall, though, I think when I look at James Harden and how this has happened, I mean, you've had the Rockets where, he forced his way out and he didn't come into camp in shape. He was done. He checked out. Goes to the Nets. He wanted to go to the Nets. He ended up getting there. Kyrie and KD there, and they get to the playoffs. Kyrie gets hurt. Harden was also hurt, but Harden was playing hurt, and he ended up being a hindrance to the team because he was playing hurt. And the Nets losing 7 to the Bucks. Next season, Nets having a good year. Harden having a good year. Harden was great in his Brooklyn tenure. I mean, for what it's worth, he was great. He's playing great basketball. But when the second year, before he ended up getting traded to Philly, you could tell. I mean, he was intentionally not really playing his best basketball because he was checked out. He didn't want to be there. I don't know what it was about. I think he said in previous times, I think he had like a quote saying like, "I saw the writing on the wall" or something, and he wanted to get out before everyone else, which I guess ended up being a good decision because KD and Kyrie left too. He goes to Philly, seems excited, says he wanted to be there, and him and Embiid are a seamless fit. They're playing great together, and they make a second round appearance in their first season. Embiid gets hurt, so they lose early. Harden wasn't great in that playoffs. You come back, you go into the last year's off season. Harden takes a pay cut, and they fill out the rest of the roster. Go win us a title. Go have a good year. Harden has a good year, but again, doesn't play well in the biggest moments, and now we're here. He wants to leave Philly. I just think that when you look at this, if you're Harden, it sucks that you don't have the money that you wanted, and I can understand being frustrated. But when you look at it, you don't have anywhere else to go. Nobody's clamoring to go get James Harden right now. The Clippers are the team that has been most reported. But do the Clippers want to give up anything of value for James Harden is my thing. I think the Clippers are fine with what they have. They have, Kawhi and PG just need to stay healthy. Russ was great for them. They have hella depth. Terrence Mann, Norman Powell, Robert Covington. Like, they have so much depth that I don't know if it's worth it to go give all that away for Harden, who, Harden's good, obviously. No one's saying he's not. But it's a questionable fit with him and Russ, and he's just another ball dominant player, another guy who's a ball stopper, and I just don't know if it's what the Clippers need. And for him, I just feel like Philly's his best chance in terms of winning a championship because, I mean, even if he did get traded to the Clippers, Kawhi and PG's availability is always a question. The Sixers can beat anybody if Harden and Embiid just play well. The reason we don't believe they can beat anybody though is because we don't trust that Harden and Embiid are going to play well. When I looked at the playoffs last year, I thought the role players did everything they needed to do. I mean, their role players played fine. Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey were both solid, especially Maxey. Maxey was great. Harris was up and down, I would say, but especially in that second round. But Maxey was phenomenal. DeAnthony Melton gave them good minutes. Paul Reed. I mean, they had good production, but Harden and Embiid shit the bed. So I think if you're Harden, all you can do is look in the mirror and be like, hey, if I just go out and have a great year, and I go out and I actually play good in the playoffs, and what's in my control, that is completely in my control. Shit, I'll probably make the money next year. Like, I mean, he's still getting paid $35 because he opted in. I think that's the best situation he can, because who's gonna trade for Harden right now? I mean, I guess you could get him for pretty much for the cheap, like super cheap at this point, because he's a disgruntled star. He doesn't want to be there, and the Sixers would have no leverage in a discussion because negotiation. My fault, because he doesn't want to be there, and he said it publicly. So I mean, I think it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. My thing is, does Joel Embiid ever request a trade because of his Harden stuff? I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, but with Harden, it's been a lot of movement. It's been a lot of different shit, and you know, I don't know. It's like, if I'm a team, I don't even know if I want that on my team right now, because what if he just wants to quit on us? You know, I think Harden's a great player. I don't dislike Harden or anything. But I just think it's been a pattern. It's been different things. And I can understand this more so than some of the other times. But at the end of the day, it's like, you have got to play better yourself if you want things to be what they need to be. You know, like, you know, if you want that type of money, which I get, he took a sacrifice last year. But if we're being honest, is Harden still a max player? He's not. I don't think he's a max player anymore, based off what I've been seeing. And, you know, a few games where, you know, does not make you have an argument of being, you know, a max player anymore. Like, you got to play one of the biggest moments. And with Harden, one thing we know about his whole career is that he's going to have games where he no-shows in big moments. And I just think that's something that Daryl Morey's been thinking about. But it looks like their relationship is fractured. And it's funny because they were so close in Houston, tied at the hip. Daryl Morey always praised Harden, said so many good things about Harden, vice versa. Now, I mean, Harden's saying he doesn't fuck with him, basically. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Sixers and Harden. I will make more videos as more updates come. Comment down below what y'all think will happen with the Harden situation. If y'all think he'll get traded, if he'll end up having to stay there. You know, if he does get traded, where do you want to see him go? Comment down below. It's been Will Sports. Peace.